Okay, after 20 minutes of trying to start this episode of the daily thread, which is now the quarterly thread, we are here. There's a lot of news topics to discuss. I'm here with my father. Let's jump into the news of the day. The news of the day is that Ismail Haniyeh's bodyguard, Ismail Haniyeh was killed, which is, he's the, I guess, the political leader of Hamas. Obviously, there's Yahya Sinwar, who is the military leader, and then there's Ismail Haniyeh, who is the political leader. Many believed he was in Qatar,
Well,
but he was
okay, first
killed
of all,
in Iran.
well, don't believe any of that, okay? Number one, there's no
All
such
right,
thing as a political
don't believe
leader.
anything I just said. What do you?
There's
What
no
do you?
such thing as a political leader of Hamas and a military leader of Hamas. They're all terrorists. That's all they
No,
are.
of course. I'm just saying that Ismail Haniyeh is not on the ground in Gaza, and Yahya Sinwar is literally in a bunker probably right now. That's just the difference. We don't want to underestimate the massive killing here. This is great, but I do want to bring up another perspective, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. I just interviewed the mother of who's currently the hostage in Gaza, and the
Right.
mother, to me, off the record, we were talking, and she questioned. I asked her what she felt about this strike that killed Ismail Haniyeh, where people are now referring
Haniyeh.
to. People
Haniyeh.
are not even referring to Ismail Haniyeh anymore. You know what they're calling him, Abba?
What are they calling him?
They're calling him Wasmail Haniyeh.
What's what's Haniyeh? You see the thing this morning in Yerushalayim, like in Gaza when they have unfortunately a terror attack in Israel, they hand out candies as a
Yeah,
celebration. So this in front of the mirror, yeshiva, they were handing out candies. I saw in
I don't
Yerushalayim
like that.
this morning. Someone else wrote me, a rabbi from the Five Towns wrote me that we shouldn't be rejoicing at the downfall of
No, I
Hamas.
don't like that at all. I mean, it's a great thing that he
Well,
was
they
killed,
weren't.
but we don't we don't do that.
They were mimicking. They were mimicking what the Arabs do. That's all. It was a
Eh,
joke.
not
Of course,
funny.
you have nothing else to do but hand out candies.
Yeah,
And
it's not.
you're over. If you forget, last night there was a Hezbollah. Fuad Shakur was also killed, number two man in Hezbollah
Yeah, no, that's true.
In Beirut, Lebanon. And there's a lot to read about it and the technology about how they went about it. Of course, there's a conflict about exactly how he was killed. Was he betrayed by one of his bodyguards? He was saying Haniyeh was staying in a safe house.
Right.
A place that.
Before we get to that, I just want to finish up this what I
Oh
opened
yeah,
up here,
okay. About the mother
that
of the hostage. Yeah.
her perspective was she's happy that he's not alive anymore, but why did Israel have to
Right.
do it now? Because Israel's in the middle of negotiating a deal to get the hostages home, her daughter home,
Yeah.
and now, I mean, you have to think that those negotiations are done because the person that was being negotiated with was Ismail Haniyeh. So
Oh,
her
I don't think
perspective
that.
was that the timing isn't good.
Okay, I can understand that. And of course, if it's only your relatives, your child, or any of your relatives that are being held for 300 days, I think tomorrow is day number 300.
Yeah.
So then, of course, anything that throws the negotiations, of course, is something that you don't not interested in, something that you don't invite as being a positive experience. But there's several things going on here simultaneously, and you have to understand the Arab mentality. Not that I understand it so well, but it doesn't mean anything to them. Hani is dead. They just wheel up another guy to take his place.
Right.
No one's going to stop negotiating. They're negotiating over Israeli troops withdrawing from Gaza, of Israeli forces evacuating the corridor, the Philadelphia corridor between Egypt and Israel in the Gaza Strip.
Well, they
They're
might be more
also
focused. They might be more focused now on retaliating than negotiating. I mean, like already the Khamenei, said that Iran will be taking revenge for this. I just want to read a
retaliating.
report here. I want to
Yeah,
read a report here. This is via Yeshiva World. It says the title reads Hania's bodyguard played a part in the elimination, missile
yeah, they
fired
know
from a
that.
nearby building. So let me
No,
just go ahead
yeah,
and read this blurb and we can discuss it. The Iranian media outlets are reporting that one of Hamas leaders, Ismail Hania's bodyguards, is the one who conveyed information to the operatives who eliminated him. The reports added that the missile fired at Haniyeh was not only fired from within Iran, but it was from a nearby building. The operatives launched an Israeli-made spiked short-range missile into the room where Haniyeh was staying at an IRCG guest house in northern Tehran. According to the reports, it is possible that more than one of Haniyeh's bodyguards assisted the operatives in the elimination. So that is crazy. A missile did not come from Israel and strike Iran. A missile came within Tehran, a building over, and killed him.
So it's not shocking that there are people that are double agents in Iran. I'm sure Israel has people implanted in
Are
Iranian
you not shocked by that? I'm
society.
pretty shocked by that.
Well, there's a dispute about where the missile came from. I read this morning already that it came from an airplane. I also read that it came from a submarine, somewhere
A
hundreds of miles away.
submarine?
Yeah, yeah. If you have a missile that you can launch from, yeah, I guess you got. I guess you don't watch. You got to watch these high-tech military movies to see how vicious and how exact these missiles are these days. He was in the shower at 2 a.m. according to what I read. Did you see that?
I did see that.
That's quite a surprise when you're in the shower at 2 a.m. The Gemara talks about when you stab somebody and they're wearing their shirt, you're responsible to replace the value of the shirt also because you didn't just stab somebody, you also ruined the shirt, and it's a value placed on the shirt. So you see, they waited until he had no clothes on. He went to the shower, so this way you don't have to be responsible for ruining his clothes also.
But you know what is interesting to note here is that Israel funds the resistance in Iran. So I imagine there are many people within Iran that are close with Israel. They're anti the government. They're anti the Shah, the Sharia law that is happening there. So I guess it isn't so shocking. People within Iran don't want Ismail Haniyeh there.
Yeah, but I suspect that the entire society is very secretive and everybody is suspicious of everybody else. Many years ago, about 20 years ago, I was in a taxi in Israel. One of your sisters was in the seminary that winter. Me and your mother were there, and they were sitting in the back seat of a taxi, and we had a cab driver from Iran, and I was saying to him, "So, what city are you from in Iran? And what kind of work did you do when you were in Iran?" And the guy, when he stopped at a light, he looks over at me. He says to me, "Where I come from, only the police ask those questions." So I was just trying to chit chat with him a little bit, but he got his back up. What kind of? I'm not asking him questions. I'm not socializing with him. I was interrogating him as far
Yeah,
as he was concerned. So that's the society that they're. I think that's the society that they're brought up in, and it's very secretive. It's very duplicitous, and I don't think anybody trusts anyone else there. And but
it shouldn't.
Israel these guys have to be killed.
100% they
Among
have to be killed. Before we
since
get on too much of a tangent, I want to go ahead and open up our next story of the day. And that is a really, really interesting story. This title on Yeshiva World reads, Open Accusation. Donald Trump says Kamala Harris doesn't like Jewish people and agrees her husband is a horrible Jew. Obviously, her husband, Doug Emhoff, who is Jewish himself. Obviously, his kids, who are not Kamala Harris's kids. She did not birth them. They were born from a different wife. Those kids are not Jewish. So we know that Donald Trump spoke in Deal the other night. I wonder if he made these comments there. But no, he actually made these comments in a WABC radio on Tuesday.
Right.
He claimed that Harris looked uncomfortable while meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. You can see the disdain. Number one, she doesn't like Israel. Number two, she doesn't like Jewish people. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. And nobody wants to say it. That is the most Donald Trump quote I've ever seen, if I've seen one.
Listen, Trump is being Trump, and there's no way to stop him. And I don't know if comments like that serve any purpose. Do you know for a fact that Doug Emhoff's first wife wasn't Jewish? I don't know.
I mean, yeah. What? That's not
I
so
don't
hard
know.
to track.
I don't know. But I'm telling you right now in this conversation, we don't know. I do know that one of his daughters has already raised $80 million for pro Hamas.
For UNRWA.
For whoever's pro Hamas, anti-Israel. So, but you know what? This conversation, I think, in the past, here and other forums, Donald Trump really doesn't understand what the American Jewish community is made out of. It's so diverse. There's such a difference of opinions on Jewish life in general, and especially on Israel. And how people feel about what's going on. You'll find you go out and do a survey, Naki. You'll find that Jews are not in favor of what's going on in Gaza. And even though Hamas makes up the numbers about how many people died, how many women died, how many children died, they say 38,000 people died in Gaza, and more than half of them are women and children. And as you know, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is very disturbed about the Israeli activity in Gaza. But at the same time, America is giving weapons free of charge to Ukraine. And I read last week in the Wall Street Journal that Ukraine now has permission to shoot cluster bombs into Russian territory, and an American bomb shot by Ukraine landed on a beach in Russia and killed a woman and her children. But what is the difference, I wonder, between Ukrainian women and children and Palestinian women and children? Why why did anybody mention anything about that? Why isn't the
No
United
Jews,
States
no
upset
news.
about that?
That's why the Jews aren't involved. That's why the Jews aren't
That
involved.
could be. How what'd you hear about the deal event? I see that it was very well attended,
Yeah,
and they raised a lot
deal
of money,
event.
I guess.
They raised like $4 million for Trump. It looked like it looked pretty nice. Not gonna lie. I want to bring up. I want to bring up also that really the double. It's interesting. Over the last couple of days, driving a lot, listening to a lot of things about this current election. It could be a lot of our listeners aren't really focusing it, or they're not really thinking about it. But JD Vance had a very, very interesting take. JD Vance, who is senator from Ohio and now the running mate for Donald Trump, his take was that this country is run by the Democrats by a bunch of what he calls childless cat people who don't have any stake in the future of this country. Someone
Right.
like AOC who has no kids, someone like
Pete
Cory Booker.
Buttigieg.
Pete Buttigieg has 2 adopted kids, so I don't know if you want to, but yeah,
Yeah, but
Pete
she's talking
Buttigieg.
about. He mentions Kamala Harris too in that context.
Kamala Harris also doesn't have any
Uh,
biological
yeah,
children.
he mean that's what he means. He means biological children, either the mother
He
or the
also
father.
he did make sure, and he said, and of course, what did the left media do? They started attacking him for saying, "You are not sensitive to people who struggle with fertility." He said, "No, like if someone struggles, these people, he's saying struggle aside,
Hmm.
these people, we're talking AOC, like they don't want to bring kids into the world. There are people who don't want to bring kids into the world because of climate control. And he said that we need to have a country that is run by people that are pro family. Bringing kids into this world is the best thing ever. Having babies is
Right.
an amazing thing. And you have a left that is just trying to just take that away, trying to glorify abortion as that is the most amazing thing. Freedom is the ticket that Kamala Harris is really
Well,
running on.
that's a 2 hour discussion right there. First of all, the left doesn't call it abortion; they call it reproductive health care. Okay, they don't call it a baby; they call it a fetus. So when a woman has an abortion, it's not an abortion. We see it as, especially when they're a favorite in the seventh, eighth, or ninth month, it's a human being, and it's just murder. There's no other way
It
to,
is.
no, there's no other way to dance out of it. It's just murder. But if you call it the reproductive health care, and you call it a fetus, it's all the scientific lingo that you're using. So you don't get emotionally involved in the thing. The conversation is not about killing babies, okay?
Yeah.
It's about we're denying women health care. That's what they feel about the Supreme Court reversing Roe v. Wade after 52 years. They feel that we're denying women health care. Now, listen, you do a podcast and you do this thing. What's it called? Daily Thread. You do this.
Quarterly.
You're speaking to an audience that has a certain type of mindset. Probably a majority are going to agree with you, although not 100%. Not going to agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Well,
But
I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but I do want to show you another meme that has surfaced. Yesterday, Ismail Haniyeh met with the new president of Iran. Today,
yeah,
Ismail Haniyeh met with the previous president of Iran, who is also not alive. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
it's a great uh, united front over there.
It's divine justice, is what it is. It's divine justice,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we listen. We believe in a next world. God created the world with a certain design, and there's a din v'cheshbon whether you're a Jew, you're a non-Jew, and I wouldn't want to be in Ismail Haniyeh's shoes today if he was wearing shoes.
No,
I
listen,
wouldn't.
those who curse us will be cursed, those who bless us will be blessed. That is something that we've seen
But this
over and
guy,
over
but this,
again.
but you know, there's just a common person that mistreats his neighbor who happens to be Jewish. Maybe he parks his car by the guy's driveway, and then there's a guy like this that actually dedicates his life to murdering Jewish men, women, and children. So
Yeah.
there's different levels.
Listen, there's of course, you know, the a big I guess call it trend recently is the media is just such a terrible thing. This is from, I believe, the New York Times. Ismail Haniyeh, top Hamas leader, is dead at 62. Mr. Haniyeh, the militant group's exiled political chief, managed high-stakes negotiations, including the ongoing ceasefire talks to end the war in Gaza. You know what they
Yeah,
failed to mention in this title over here? That he started the war in Gaza. That this is the
yeah,
guy who's responsible for
yeah,
thousands and thousands of people that are killed. And this is the New York Times that is saying that like Dovi Safir wrote on Twitter, are we talking about Henry Kissinger here? This is Ismail Haniyeh. This guy's a
yeah,
terrorist. What
yeah.
are you writing about him?
Um,
And
um,
you've seen, you know, obviously we didn't talk about it yet, but you've seen the listen, if you could send it to me, the headlines, I think from the Washington Post after the 12 Druze kids were killed. I saw here, we got it right over here. I'll pull it up. Here's the Washington Post front page. Like, it's not even like something you could delete from like online. Washington Post: Israel hits target in Lebanon as it
yeah,
shows people mourning a daughter. What if you're someone who's not in tune with what's going on in the world? You think
yeah,
that Israel killed this
yeah,
girl, but
yeah,
this was killed. This girl was killed by Hezbollah.
yeah.
Listen, there's another one if you can pull up. There's another one out there that said, I believe it said, Hezbollah rocket hit soccer field. Israel seeks revenge. The Hezbollah rocket hit a soccer field, just a soccer field, or completely killed 12 kids on that soccer field. You know, it's so important for us as Jewish people, really anybody who's listening, to set the record straight in the world of like what is the truth? What is the
I don't
truth?
think people don't want to. They don't want to hear they don't want to hear the truth. I mean, Chris
It's
Cuomo, the
out,
news
but we
station.
are the people. We are the people of the book. We are people of truth. It's our achrayus to make sure the truth is known. The truth needs to be known, and that is it. The truth needs to be known. What is happening? The double standard needs to be called out, and shout out to the people who in the media who are doing it. The place where I love getting my news from nowadays happens to be the Daily Thread. The Daily Thread. How have I? The place I love
Okay.
getting my news from is the Daily Wire.
Oh,
Ben
really?
Shapiro. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do they just do a good job. They do a good job of reporting the actual facts of what's happening. They call out the narishkeit and the double standard that exists, and that's what we need to latch onto. We need to latch onto the truth. And I don't know. I'm a politics guy. I like politics. It's interesting to me. I don't know how many other
Well,
people.
some people have no idea what's going on, and some people. I love also watching the evolution of the politics.
Hang on
You
one
know,
second, Abba.
well,
One
you
second.
got the Cuomo piece.
Yeah, yeah. Hang on one second. This is Chris Cuomo.
If I were to tell you, breaking news, a dozen kids murdered while playing soccer, dozens more injured, some critically, you'd be outraged. I don't have to tell you where or how. It doesn't matter. Harming kids, let alone murdering kids, it's the highest wrong. Doesn't matter where in America or in the world, right? Certainly when it happens in Gaza, we have campuses roiling international condemnation, the media asking hard questions to IDF officials, politicians on the left for sure refusing to sit for Israel's prime minister when he came here to address Congress for exactly that reason. So here's my question. Why is it different when it's the Jews?
Yeah, maybe he meant to say Druze. You think he messed that
I
up?
don't know. I'm not sure.
Let's see if he does it again.
I have a
Let's
disagreement with Ema about that. I think
let's
I
see
heard it one way.
let's see if he does it again.
Why is it different when the Jews die? Why isn't another massacre of innocent children in the Golan Heights by a barrage of bombs, a dozen kids murdered on a Saturday playing soccer. Are you aware? Are you disgusted? It's certainly not dominating the news. All accounts I've seen, except Hezbollah saying, wasn't us. Who else would fire a barrage of dozens of rockets from Lebanon onto children just over the border in Israel? No international call for that terror organization to be acted upon, condemned. Why not? There's more energy spent saying that the Golan Heights is a disputed territory that the UN says Israel should return to Syria. Israel won the territory when it went to war against 3 other countries in 1967. Ironically, Golan is a biblical term for a city of refuge. Not refuge for the Jews, not now at least. More questions go to how Israel may overreact to the murders than to how this is exactly why Israel can't accept any of these illusory ceasefire options. These people want to kill them. Hezbollah, Iran, the Houthis, Hamas, all these other proxies, all around them, want to kill them. Hamas must return the hostages. Over 300 days, including the Americans that this country barely pays lip service to. It is shocking that we have been so passive about our hostages. Don't we care about our own anymore? If we got hit like that in America, the way they got hit in the Golan Heights on Saturday, we would level Lebanon.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. You know what? I agree with everything he said. I don't really care if he messed up Druze and Jews.
I don't think he messed it up.
I don't think so either. It doesn't. It's not. Honestly, it's unimportant. But
Yeah.
I
think he was saying that since it would be much more of an uproar if it was Jewish kids, and it's less just it came and went out of the news very quickly because it was Druze and they're like an obscure small population in Israel. It's a very complex issue also because the Jews they're in the Golan Heights, they also live in Haifa, they're scattered all over Israel, and
but like
they don't want a war in Lebanon. Nobody wants Israel to destroy Beirut. It's just going to get them deeper into war, and we're trying to extricate ourselves from a situation, like you said, get the hostages back, and it's enough already.
Yeah. But what's deafening? And like people might say to me, like, why do you care? Why do you expect better? Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Ban Omar, people who sit in Congress, they haven't said a word about these 12 Druze kids that were killed playing soccer.
Right.
Not a word. Not a word.
Right.
How does that not expose to the entire world what a joke they are? That they didn't say anything?
One of the biggest problems in the country right now is that there's one party rule. America today is not too much different than Venezuela. There's one guy running the whole place. You can't get an investigation or an indictment from the Justice Department because Merrick Garland is a Democrat. You have Chuck Schumer has a majority in the Senate. You have a couple of seats in the Republican majority in the House. You got Biden. You got 2 presidents now. You got Biden, and we have Harris.
It's honestly like a reality TV show. What's going on? Because like Joe Biden is like MIA. Like he's, the rumors are. I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but the rumors are, and it's been reported by a few different people, including I think Tucker Carlson, one of them, that Barack Obama called up Joe Biden. He said, "Hey, listen, Joe, we have Kamala ready to. We have the green light from Kamala to impose the 25th Amendment, which means he would be immediately removed from the White House as he's not mentally competent to be serving. Drop out of the race, or we're gonna do that." And then it explains why from 1 second to the next, Joe Biden, who was campaigning and saying, "Nobody's saying that." He's whispering into the mic on stage that he's not dropping out.
Yeah.
But dropped out just suddenly.
There's a little bit more to that story also. They didn't really want Kamala because even though the fake polls showed that she's gaining ground on Trump, I don't believe that's really the case. She's really She really terrible track record on all the major issues that concern people. And I understand the other part of the story you just told was that Obama told Kamala if she doesn't improve or get a good position in the polls by the time of the convention in a couple of weeks, they're going to replace her too with somebody else.
I didn't hear that part. Well, the
Because
convention is the last week of August, and
right, you got a few weeks to go. You got 3 or 4 weeks to go. Should be interesting times. Should be very interesting
honestly,
times.
if you're a politics guy, and I don't know how many people listening are, this is like the most, like, this is like the Super Bowl. Someone explained it to me, like, this is the Super Bowl for like the last 4 months. It's like unprecedented. It is an insane time. There's another video that Nissan's gonna pull up that I want to show, because it really just shows the circus of which the state our media is in. It's not even a free media anymore. There's no media that is neutral. Like there's CNN, there's MSNBC. There's so many of those news stations that are basically, echo chambers, or they're marketing companies for the Democrats.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I'll tell you, one of the things has been sent into the media from the Democrats is that J.D. Vance, the running mate of Donald Trump, we need to call him weird. We are trying to pitch him as a weirdo. He's a weirdo. Although he's like, honestly, probably one of the most normal people in the country. He grew up in Ohio. He spent some time in Kentucky. He has 3 kids. He has a wife. He built a business. He ran for Senate. There's honestly nothing all that weird about him. But how do you know that things are a little bit strange when you see something like this?
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are.
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird.
They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird. It's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
Who ever seen?
What second? What? First of all, I know people who drink Diet Mountain Dew, and why is it weird to drink Diet Mountain Dew? That's weird. That's what's weird. Have you seen the people that Kamala Harris is marching into the White House? That is, drinking Diet Mountain Dew is weird. Unbelievable.
Who ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone.
Have you seen Kamala Harris laugh?
Oh boy.
That is weird behavior.
Weird and cultish.
These are weird people on the other side.
Kind of doubled down on his weird ideas.
I think weird is probably generous.
Simply weird. These guys are just plain weird.
Vance as weird?
You know, as the campaign said, weird.
It really is just plain weird.
J.D. Vance, plain weird.
You get the point how the narrative was sent to the media.
Right.
We need to attack him for being weird.
The PRR guy sends out a memo, and this is the direction we're going to be taking. And you know what the original plan was to when Biden was still in there, they were going to focus on calling Trump a convicted felon.
No, they were calling Joe Biden sharp as a tack. Remember, a week before he stepped down, he's sharp as a tack.
They dropped that very fast. They dropped the conviction. The more they said it, the more his polls went up. So they dropped that as fast as you could imagine. They just dropped it, going in that direction.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
it's exciting things going on, and. Nice of you.
Listen, as the world continues to turn, we hope to bring you more programs here. One thing I want to mention relevant to the film community is if you are driving, and the summer especially is coming up, it's time that we need to be extra vigilant. Never, ever leave your child in the backseat of a car. Never leave your kid in the car. I know it's easy to forget, but
why is it easy? Is it easy to forget? I never
honestly, no. Honestly, it's not easy to forget.
I never left you back in a car, or your brother.
I thank you. Thank you for that. That's a. There are a lot of tools and a lot of things to do. First of all, I was in Evergreen a couple days ago actually, and all of a sudden a blaring sound comes over the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
reminding everyone to make sure you don't leave your kids in the car. And every 10 minutes in Evergreen, me and Nissan were in Lakewood yesterday. We walked into an office building. On the front of that office building, no, don't leave your child in the car. There are tools that you can do. You can put your cell phone in the back seat. You could take a shoe off and put it in the back seat, because you're not going to leave your car without your shoe.
You know what? That's weird. I gotta tell you, that's the weirdest thing in the world. How could you forget that you have a kid in the back of your car?
People have
what do you have?
routines, and those routines change. And Abba, unfortunately, it's happened. It's happened. It happened more than once.
I know it's happened.
And the people who it happened to are not ill-intended people. They made a terrible mistake that likely ruined their entire life. And it's preventable. We need to just be extra vigilant. That's it. On Waze has a feature. Waze has a feature that it'll remind you. Many cars nowadays have a feature that it will remind you. I know you think it'll never ever, and it can never ever happen to you, that you were watching, but that's exactly probably what people are thinking who it happened to. So make sure you just stay extra vigilant, and may God be with us in these days. This is the Daily Thread. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we'll be back with you soon, hopefully.
One of these days. Have a
Yes,
good day,
sir.
everybody. Bye.